All right, here we go. Episode 3, all 20-chew Packers Steelers. And we're going to do something that we've never done before, Chew. We're going to have a defensive play on there, but also Jordan Love played pretty well. So, I think there's a lot of good things in here, but there are also a couple of things that we can just kind of touch on and figure out offensively as we go. Because, like I said, there's a lot of good things. So let's go ahead and dive into the all 22. All right. So what we're looking at here, this is the famous play. This is the play that Matt LaFleur was talking about. This is the play where the Packers have their 2 down linemen, and LaFleur earlier this week went crazy because, well, we consider those outside linebackers defensive ends. But the point remains, they're in a sub package. The Steelers are. So it's 1st and goal from the 4-yard line. They have a big tight end, a big physical 235, 240-pound wide receiver who's tight to the line as well. This ends up being an untouched rushing touchdown to kick things off here for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
So I was talking on our show during the week. When it comes to a run play, we do not look at nickel. We just look at the front. So the nickel guy essentially to the offensive lineman and the tight end.
Who's right here? Keyshawn
just becomes another player. And that's it. So let me take a look at it, Gabe. So this is just a simple dive play. And the blocking schemes here would be you would book 25. All right. Book means just let him go. Now they bait him with run a route to clear him out of there. They could have done it another way and then just slid inside, book him because it's an inside run. They don't believe he could get there quick enough to make the play anyways. So run it back. So it's all a matter of the offensive line identifying who they're going to block. Okay, so
they block it up really well.
No, they don't. So, Gabe, up top here to the left, right? Because it looks like the Packers have too many people in the box. So I'll go from your left tackle, right, which is on the right side of the screen. Your left tackle is going to block either Preston Smith or I don't even know who, 58. Whoever flashes
Isaiah
as
McDuffie.
the D-gap player, they're going to let go. So if Preston Smith shows himself as the D-gap player, which means he is responsible for outside run, he's responsible for everything to the sideline, right? Then he would slide up onto 58. The fact that Preston Smith shows himself as the C-gap player, they book 58. They just let him go because he's responsible for the outside run. This is very simple, combination blocks. So the receiver up to the top is going to clear 25. These two, the guard center is responsible for front side linebacker and this big guy. Pretty much the same thing, I believe, how they block it is with the big tight end. Whoever shows as the seed gap player, he's going to block. Now just run it.
Which would be Rashawn Gary.
Rashawn Gary, correct.
So we can run it here just to see what it ends up looking like.
So they book 34. I can't see his name. He shows himself as the D-gap player. The D-gap player. Now, if Rashawn Gary shows himself as the D-gap player, Gabe, then he's up on 34.
Okay.
And then it's just combination on the inside. It is much harder and I talked this week on the show, it's much harder for the offensive line and tight ends to block individuals when they're head up, right? This is easy. There's just too many gaps here. It's all combination block. Kenny Clark takes himself out of the play, right?
Yeah.
For the life of me, he shows himself as a gap rusher. He's not. This is part of Joe Barry's flaw. You can't be a gap rusher on the goal line because it creates too many gaps. You have to be a 2-gap player. So what a 2-gap player is, you engage the tackle and you're responsible for inside and outside, right? Look at how easy a block this right tackle has.
Yeah, well, I mean, he doesn't even have to block him. He just like gets
He
past
doesn't
him,
have
but
to
it
block
doesn't
him. He
matter.
takes himself out of the play. So if I'm a defensive coordinator, what I would teach is you hit them head up, you engage, and then you read. You can't be a gap scheme team on the goal line. It just doesn't work. There's too many holes here, and it's too easy to run the ball.
So that ends up being the Steelers' first touchdown. But the Packers did a good job of bouncing back, and this is their first touchdown of the ball game, Chew. It ends up being a touchdown pass to Romeo Doubs. It's one of my favorite throws that we saw from Jordan Love in the ball game. You have kind of motion here from Jaden Reed where he starts going one way, comes back, but ends up being a touchdown pass. Romeo Doubs is the guy who ends up getting the ball. He is the widest to the right of the defense.
It's a great play, Gabe, but conversely, I mean, a great play, and we'll go through it in a second. Look at the gaps when it comes to running the ball here.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, look at that front and look at your gaps. What down was this?
This was 3rd and 7.
Oh, so it was 3rd and 7. Okay.
3rd and 7 from the 8-yard line. So yeah,
right,
if you wanted to run the ball, it's kind of similar to what we just saw. I mean, even wider, you've got TJ Watt all the way out here. You've got even some wider gaps than what we just saw with the Packers, but 3rd and 8 makes it a little different.
Yeah, a little different. So let's see the receiver combinations. Okay, so it winds up being a trips right. They call this, now a defense will call that spaghetti, right? And what all spaghetti means is they're bunched up on releases and they're anticipating, my guess would be man here.
Okay.
So spaghetti just alerts them to watch the crossing routes, watch the picks.
Which there weren't any. I mean, there was one. Reed ends up being the crosser.
So it's clearly, you see that it's in man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even, I mean, it's a poor job by the safety. Doubs just clearly, all he uses is his speed here. But if I was to nitpick this thing, the gap could have been even bigger if he threatened him to the inside even more. Watch his route, how he just kind of rolls it here.
Yep.
You see how he rolls it? If he gave just a little nod to the post and get them, because receivers, all they want to do is get a defender's hip turned the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
When you come off the routes, that's what you do. You're like, how do I get the defender's hips to turn an opposite way? I mean, it works out. The throw is great. The coverage is not good. And, it's just a nice overall play. But these coaches should be like, look, this was a great play, but this is how we make it an exceptional play.
So that was the first touchdown. And had another big play later in the game. This came into the 3rd quarter. It ends up being a big tight end gain to Musgrave, but he was disconnected from the line of scrimmage on this play, Chew. And again, a big play here for the Packers, where Musgrave is lined up. He's the front end of the bunch receivers on the bottom of the screen.
So what they're doing here, Gabe, it doesn't really change the personnel, but they probably ran this earlier in the season at some point in time with 3 wide receivers. So all they're doing is trying to switch it up by changing your personnel grouping. Now, the only thing I would say about Musgrave on this play, because we all have aiming points, right?
Yep.
Watch how he bends it in and brings that backside safety into play. He can just take it straight above where he's lined up because the near side safety isn't really a factor. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I would say
for spacing purposes, and this is what he'll learn, you see how he bends it in too far?
Yeah.
I mean, it works out, but nitpicking, and as he grows into the being a receiving tight end, that's the one thing I would say is just keep it high. There's no reason to bend it. And
so just kind of keep it on the outside of the hash? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
keep it on the outside of that left hash?
It's an easier throw for Jordan Love. Now, the one thing, and I had to learn as a young player, you have a tendency as a young player, when you turn your head, you turn your shoulders as well, which slows you down.
Okay.
So he's got to learn just to stay in rhythm, when you turn your head, don't turn your shoulders. Watch how he turns his shoulders and it slows him down.
Sure.
You see how it slows him down?
Mm-hmm.
So if he stays wide, that's a bigger window for Jordan Love to throw the ball. And if he does it the way I said, he probably scores.
So it ends up being a 36-yard play.
Sure.
But instead, this could have been a 51-yard play.
All right, one other thing. I think it's Jaden Reed. All right, this is a fall on the sword play. Watch how Jaden Reed cuts his route off. Now, if he kept that higher, it keeps the near safety out of the play.
So what do you mean by higher?
Watch how he flattens out his route.
Okay.
If he takes it at a higher angle, that safety has to honor him more, which keeps him off of Musgrave. He's got to know right now, I'm not getting the ball, keep it high to occupy that safety. And then if he does that, there's even a better chance Musgrave scores. You see what I'm saying?
Yep. Yeah. So if he kind of takes it more up the field.
Keeps it high. Yes. Then that corner or safety has to stay on him for another second. These are little things, which hopefully down the road, it'll just become more natural to him. And then Musgrave scores on that instead of a 36-yard gain.
So then our next play that I wanted to go over, this was a throw I was impressed with. I want to know what you had to say. So it goes late into the ball game. Packers just get the ball back. They don't have any timeouts left. And this was the first play after getting the ball punted back to them, where Jordan Love ends up hitting Jaden Reed on a deep crossing route. Oh, excuse me. I've got the wrong.
Oh, this is
portion.
This is why
that's the interception. I went a little too far.
Yes. All right.
Ahead, so we got to go back just a little bit.
I mean, we could run that play because I have a critique on that one. If you wanted to run that.
Yeah, we will. That was the last play.
Okay.
So I guess that is the next play that we wanted to do. I got him confused. So yes, the interception that Jordan Love throws would be the next play in this series because it happened before the big play to Jaden Reed. So This is the first interception. I got the ordering confused that I wanted to do here. So yes, this is the interception that you requested earlier that you wanted to see from the Packers.
Okay, now number one on this play. This is a play. Now, if I'm LaFleur, I run it the other way. Okay, because
so you run it to the right side.
It's a little wider part of the field. It gives you more room to run the stick nod. So watch Musgrave here. First thing he's trying to determine is his release. Right? Is that linebacker going to be a problem to him? All right. This play, and we used to run the same thing. I love this play. It was a great play. But their spacing is all screwed up. And you heard me talk about last week or the week before about you have to be cognizant with spacing because if you're not, a tip ball can result in a pick, which this clearly is. Now, Musgrave has to identify where his spacing is. Now, just picture, he's too slow going into the route right now and he sells it too quickly. Now, he should know that he's probably not getting the ball on this play. But if you rewind it, Gabe, he has to be more on the near goal post than where he's at because he's got to hold this safety for the next row is to Watson, right? See how that safety's just kind of in la-la land, like this is perfect. This is center field. I get to see everything, which translates, Musgrave, you're too slow. And you have to be more where it says end racism. You got to be on the E to pull that safety out of there. So then it's just one-on-one with Watson in the corner, which is a mismatch because my guess is Watson is a much bigger guy than the corner. But even though Watson doesn't catch the ball, if Musgrave holds that safety where he should, that ball's hitting the ground and it's not a pick.
Yeah.
So these are little things. You're too wide. You're too wide, so you got to be faster. You can't sell the stick as much. He sells the stick way too far, which allows that safety to be comfortable to essentially play both men.
So to sell the stick, is that just kind of a slow down
That's
head
just
turn?
a nod, Gabe.
Yeah,
it's
just a head turn.
Bing. It might not even be stop your feet because you know you're not getting the ball, but you know you have to get to your landing point to put stress on that safety. That's coaching 101.
Just one last time here, again, focusing more on what about Christian Watson at the top?
Look at Gabe. Just look at 31 and how comfortable he is.
Yeah.
Look at how comfortable he is. You got to put that guy in a bind right away. Am I sliding to Watson or am I sliding to Musgrave? Because even if he slides to Watson on that play, you still have a mismatch because Musgrave is a taller individual than that linebacker.
Yeah.
You just can't allow him to play both men, which is what he did.
What about Christian Watson's route? Nothing wrong with that? That all right?
I would like to see him hold that stem a little longer. Look, receivers in my day were always told to say, step on the DB's feet. And what that means is close the cushion as quick as you can. Because when a DB has cushion, he's comfortable. Mm-hmm. When does he feel uncomfortable? When you're up on him. So get him into an uncomfortable situation. He's got to be faster off the ball, hold your stem, and then slip it just a little bit. See, his slip is too wide. His aiming point is 5 yards inside the sideline.
Okay.
He's a yard inside the sideline.
So he kind of takes it a little too wide.
Yeah.
All right, and then
to me, Gabe, still, to me, the one thing is everything's too slow. It's too slow. It's too slow. It's got to be fast. You can run.
And then this is the play I was talking about. This is the final play, the big crosser to Jaden Reed that kickstarted the last drive, got them into a position where a comeback was even potentially possible for the Packers after they got the ball back on a punt. So it's a longer developing play, but it ends up working because I love what Jordan Love does here in the pocket, navigating it to kind of give everybody some time.
See, I thought that initially was he's playing the zebra position there, a zebra deep cross, but it really isn't. It's kind of a broken play, Gabe. It's not designed to go to him. Let me just see it one more time.
Yep.
So this is called, it's obviously empty. I mean, the ball wasn't meant to go there.
Yeah.
He's not the number one read. Watch the tight end. Watch Musgrave. That's the throw. No, sorry, It's Christian Watson. Watson is the throw. You see Watson?
Yeah.
That's the throw. I mean, it works out. I initially thought it was zebra deep cross, which he would be the number one read on, but clearly the number one read is Christian Watson. So Love, he lucked out, but he didn't see Watson. That's the throw. That's the throw.
Yeah, we'll just take a look at it one more time. So for following along, Watson kind of working to the top there. Comes in the middle. Yep.
So Love didn't see that. That's, but that's one of the things you're like, oh, Love, great play. Yeah, great play. But if I was to grade that for Jordan Love, I'd say it's a 0.
Because it's a good result, but not the technique.
A good result, but you missed Watson wide open, and that's clearly where they wanted to go.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he wanted to kind of take that deep shot because he's just kind of the way he holds on to the ball.
But I will say this, Gabe, it's a great adjustment by a young guy in Reed because he's just there to clear it out. He's there to hold the safeties, which he does, and then he adjusts his route once he see Love is not going to Watson. So that's kind of like, okay.
Yeah, he kind of runs into the open space. I mean, it looks like Love just kind of decided that he wanted to go deep on that play. I don't know, because I could be wrong here, Chew, but it looks like he's looking right the entire time.
But I will say this about Watson's route. He gets a 0 or a minus because that zone. You got to stop. Down. So right as you come around that window, you got to stop.
Yeah, right there.
See how he's continuing into that linebacker?
Yeah.
That's what you get from young teams and young players that still have a lot to learn.
Yeah. So I would say this week there's definitely some more good things, but good.
Sure.
I'm glad we did this last play just because it kind of gives you a better idea of what exactly happened. So we'll be back. We'll do it again. All 22. We'll do it again next week.